The invitation to my sister Emma's baby shower arrived via text message. You're invited. Celebrating baby Carter. Sunday 2 p.m. at Mom's house. Please bring a gift from the registry. Can't wait to see you. I read it from my office at Parker Pharmaceuticals, where I just finished approving our third quarter earnings report. Revenue was up 34%, our fertility treatment division was exceeding projections, and the company valuation had hit $900 million. Not bad for a company I'd started in a rented lab space 12 years ago. My executive assistant Monica knocked and entered. Dr. Parker, the surrogate coordinator, called. Jennifer is asking if you want to attend the 6-month checkup tomorrow. The triplets are doing beautifully. I'll be there, I said, smiling. How are they sleeping? According to the night nanny, Sophia slept through the night. Maya and Jackson woke up once each. Pretty good for 6-month-olds. Excellent. And the adoption proceedings. Your attorney says the paperwork for little Grace clears next week. The foster system is finalizing everything. She'll be home by the end of the month. I looked at the baby shower invitation again. Emma was having her first child at 32. Perfectly timed, perfectly planned, perfectly conventional. The golden child doing everything right. Meanwhile, I was 38, single, and according to my family, tragically childless. What they didn't know was that I had 3 6-month-old triplets being cared for by a team of nannies, and a 4th child, a 3-year-old girl, about to join our family through adoption. I'd built a pharmaceutical empire specializing in fertility treatments while simultaneously using those treatments to have children of my own. The irony was almost too perfect. Monica, can you have the nannies bring the triplets to Mom's house on Sunday at 3 p.m.? Monica raised an eyebrow. To the baby shower? Yes. It's time my family met their grandchildren and nieces and nephew. Dr. Parker, they don't know about the babies? They don't ask about my life, so they don't know I have one. Monica grinned. This is going to be interesting. Should I alert Jennifer that she'll need to make an appearance? Please. And have my attorney join us. I want the adoption papers visible when I explain about Grace. You're going to give them everything at once. Why not? I've been hiding my success in my family for 6 months. Time for the full reveal. Sunday afternoon, I drove to Mom's house in my practical Volvo SUV. The kind of car a single woman working in pharmaceuticals might drive. Not the kind of car that suggested I could afford a fleet of luxury vehicles. Mom's house was already full when I arrived. The living room had been decorated in soft blues and whites. It's a boy. Banners everywhere, a table piled with gifts, aunts and cousins milling around with champagne glasses. Emma sat in the place of honor, glowing in a maternity dress, one hand resting on her 8-month bump. Her husband Derek stood nearby, looking proud and slightly overwhelmed. Claire. Mom called out when she saw me. You're here. Come meet everyone. I made my way through the crowd, accepting hugs from relatives I hadn't seen in months. Aunt Linda, Aunt Patricia, various cousins, Emma's friends from her book club. Claire, you look tired, Mom said, studying my face. Are you sleeping enough? You work too hard. I'm fine, Mom. Still doing that lab work? Aunt Linda asked. That must be exhausting. I manage. Emma waved from her chair. Claire, thanks for coming. Did you bring a gift? I held up a small wrapped box. A silver rattle from Tiffany's that cost more than everything else on the gift table combined, but looked modest in its simple wrapping. Of course. Congratulations, Emma. Thanks. I'm so excited. 8 months pregnant and counting down. Derek and I are so ready to be parents. The subtle dig was there. Derek and I, the married couple, the proper family ready for parenthood. Unlike Claire, the single career woman. I smiled and said nothing. The shower proceeded with the usual games and activities. Guests guessed the baby's weight, played baby bingo, gave advice on parenting. I sat quietly, participating minimally, checking my phone occasionally. A text from Monica. Jennifer and the nannies are en route. 15 minutes. I smiled and put my phone away. Mom was holding court near the gift table, talking to a cluster of aunts. I heard my name and moved closer to listen. Claire's 38 now, Mom was saying, her voice carrying that particular tone of sympathetic disappointment. Still single. Still working those long hours at whatever pharmaceutical company she's with. Has she tried dating apps? Aunt Patricia asked. I don't think she has time for dating. She's married to her career. Mom sighed. Emma's giving me a grandson. I'd hoped both my daughters would give me grandchildren, but Claire's running out of time. 38 isn't too old, Aunt Linda offered. For having children naturally. She'd need to freeze her eggs, find a partner, get married, then have children. That's years away if it happens at all. Mom lowered her voice, but I could still hear. I think Claire's going to be the spinster aunt. Successful in her own way but missing out on the most important thing. Family. The words stung even though I'd expected them. Emma called for everyone's attention. Time to open gifts. We gathered around as Emma unwrapped presents. Designer baby clothes, high-tech monitors, expensive strollers. Each gift prompted squeals of delight and thank yous. When she got to my gift, she unwrapped the Tiffany rattle and paused. Oh, rattle. That's nice. Thank you, Claire. She set it aside quickly, moving to the next larger gift. The message was clear. My small, simple gift was appreciated but unremarkable. I checked my phone again. Monica, pulling up now. Perfect timing. Emma had finished opening gifts and was standing to thank everyone when Mom decided to make a speech. I want to say something, Mom announced, raising her champagne glass. Emma, you and Derek are going to be wonderful parents. Watching you prepare for this baby has been such a joy. You've done everything right. Found a good man, built a stable marriage, bought a house, and now you're bringing a child into a loving, traditional family. She looked around the room, her gaze landing on me. Not everyone gets to experience this blessing, Mom continued. Some people choose careers over family. Some people wait too long. Some people never find what Emma has found. The room went quiet, everyone understanding the subtext. Claire, Mom said directly, you're 38 and single. I hate to say this at Emma's celebration, but sweetheart, you'll never have children. Not at your age, not with your lifestyle, not with your priorities. Aunt Linda nodded sadly. It's a hard truth, but someone needs to say it. What a waste, Mom added, genuine sadness in her voice. You're smart, successful in your career, but you've missed the most important thing. Emma will have children, grandchildren, a legacy. He'll have, what? A career? Money? Those things don't matter when you're old and alone. Several aunts nodded in agreement. Emma looked uncomfortable but didn't contradict our mother. I stood there, absorbing the public declaration of my failure. The waste of my life. The emptiness of my choices. That's when the doorbell rang. I'll get it, I said calmly. I opened the front door to find Jennifer Hayes, my surrogate, standing on the porch. She was a warm, professional woman in her early 30s who'd carried my triplets with care and grace. Behind her stood two nannies, Margaret and Susan, each holding a 6-month-old baby in a designer carrier. And behind them my attorney Patricia Chen carrying her briefcase. Miss Parker, Jennifer said with a professional smile, the triplets are ready for you. We're on schedule for the 3 p.m. handoff. Thank you, Jennifer. Please come in. I held the door wide as Jennifer, the two nannies carrying my babies, and my attorney walked into Mom's living room. The baby shower guests fell silent, staring at the procession of women carrying infants. Jennifer approached me directly. Miss Parker, Sophia, Maya, and Jackson have all been fed and changed. They're in excellent spirits today. Margaret has the diaper bag and Susan has the feeding schedule. Margaret stepped forward, holding a carrier with a baby girl dressed in pink. This is Sophia. She's been an angel all morning. Susan held up another carrier with another baby girl in lavender. Maya had a good nap. And this, she gestured to the third carrier she was holding, is Jackson, looking handsome in blue. 3 6-month-old babies, all beautiful, all healthy, all clearly well cared for. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the hardwood floor. What is this? She stammered. These are my children, I said simply. Sophia, Maya, and Jackson. Triplets. 6 months old. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Emma stood frozen, one hand on her pregnant belly, staring at the 3 babies. Jennifer continued professionally, the triplets are thriving, Miss Parker. All developmental milestones are being met. The pediatrician is very pleased with their progress. Patricia, my attorney, stepped forward. Miss Parker, I have good news about Grace. The adoption papers cleared this morning, earlier than expected. Your 4th child will be ready to come home on Tuesday instead of next week. She opened her briefcase and pulled out legal documents. Grace Elizabeth Parker, age 3, will be officially yours in 48 hours. Congratulations. Mom made a strangled sound. 4th child. Aunt Linda whispered. I took Sophia's carrier from Margaret and lifted my daughter out. She was perfect, 6 months old with my dark hair and bright eyes, smiling up at me. Yes, my fourth child, I confirmed. I'm adopting Grace from the foster system. She's 3 years old, brilliant, and she's been in temporary custody while the paperwork processed. But as of Tuesday, she'll be home permanently. I looked around the room at my shocked family. So to answer your earlier statement, Mom, I'm not childless. I'm not wasted. I'm not choosing career over family. I have 3 6-month-old triplets and I'm about to adopt a 3-year-old daughter. I have 4 children. Emma has 1 on the way. I'd say I'm doing pretty well in the family department. The silence was absolute. Emma finally found her voice. You had triplets? How did we not know? They were born 6 months ago via surrogate, I said. I used IVF to create embryos. Jennifer graciously carried them to term, and I've been raising them with the help of a professional care team. But you're not married, Aunt Patricia protested. No, I'm not. I'm a single mother by choice. I used a sperm donor IVF technology, a gestational surrogate, and my own considerable resources to have the family I wanted. Margaret handed me Maya's carrier. I now had 2 of my daughters with me. Susan stood nearby with Jackson. You see, while you all assumed I was tragically alone, I was actually building a family, I continued. A non-traditional family, perhaps. But a family nonetheless. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Claire, I don't understand. When did this happen? Why didn't you tell us? I tried, Mom. Repeatedly. 2 years ago I told you I was exploring IVF options. You said, that's nice, dear, and changed the subject to Emma's engagement. 18 months ago I told you I'd found a surrogate. You said, whatever makes you happy, and talked about Emma's wedding for an hour. When the babies were born 6 months ago I called you from the hospital. You were too busy helping Emma with her baby registry to talk. The room was silent except for the soft cooing sounds from the triplets. Every time I tried to share my life you dismissed it. You were so focused on Emma's conventional path, dating, marriage, pregnancy, that you couldn't see I was taking a different path to the same destination. Emma was crying now. Claire, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Biz, you never asked. None of you asked. You just assumed that because I wasn't married I couldn't possibly have children. You assumed that because I didn't follow your script I was failing. Patricia spoke up again. If I may add some context, Ms. Parker is one of the most prepared parents I've ever worked with. She has a full-time care team, a custom-designed nursery, an education trust fund for each child worth $5 million per child. And she's personally involved in every aspect of their care despite running a major pharmaceutical company. Pharmaceutical company? Uncle Robert, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. Claire, what exactly do you do? I'm the founder and CEO of Parker Pharmaceuticals, I said. We specialize in fertility treatments and reproductive health. We've helped over 50,000 couples and individuals have children through our IVF programs, fertility medications, and research initiatives. I shifted Sophia to my other arm. She was getting sleepy, her little head resting against my shoulder. Parker Pharmaceuticals, Uncle Robert repeated slowly. I've heard of that. You're on the stock exchange. You're valued at, oh my God. He'd pulled out his phone and was searching. His face went pale. Parker Pharmaceuticals, founded by Dr. Claire Parker, current valuation $900 million. Claire, you're worth nearly $1 billion. The room erupted again. $900 million? Aunt Linda said faintly. That's the company valuation, I clarified. My personal net worth is around $340 million. Most of the company value is tied up in research facilities, equipment, and ongoing clinical trials. Mom sat down heavily on the couch. You founded a pharmaceutical company? 12 years ago. After I got my PhD in reproductive endocrinology, I saw a gap in the fertility treatment market. I started Parker Pharmaceuticals to develop better, more accessible treatments for people who wanted children but couldn't conceive naturally. I looked down at Sophia, who was now sleeping peacefully against my shoulder. I spent 12 years helping other people have babies, and then I used those same treatments to have my own. The triplets were conceived using our proprietary IVF protocol. Grace is being adopted through our foundation's foster care initiative. We provide medical care for foster children and facilitate adoptions. Emma was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. You built a company that helps people have babies and you used it to have your own babies? Yes. That's incredible. It's practical, I corrected. I wanted children. I didn't want to wait for a partner who might never materialize. I had the resources, the medical knowledge, and the technology. So I took control of my reproductive choices. Jennifer, the surrogate, spoke up. If I may say something, Ms. Parker was the most involved intended parent I've ever worked with. She attended every doctor's appointment, read every study on pregnancy nutrition, prepared everything perfectly. These babies are loved and wanted beyond measure. Margaret, one of the nannies, added, I've worked with dozens of families. Ms. Parker is the most dedicated mother I've seen. She works from home 3 days a week to be with the triplets. She does the midnight feedings herself. She's building a family with intention and love. Mom was crying now. Claire, why didn't you tell us? Why hide all this? Because Mom, you made it clear that my choices weren't valid. When I said I was considering single motherhood, you told me I should wait for the right situation. When I mentioned IVF, you said natural conception was better. When I talked about adoption, you said biological children were more real. I looked around the room at my family. You had very specific ideas about what family should look like. Married couple, natural conception, traditional roles. My path didn't fit that mold, so you dismissed it. You literally told me 10 minutes ago that I'd never have children. Well, here they are. 3 of them, with a 4th arriving Tuesday. Emma stood up, awkward with her pregnancy, and walked over to me. She looked down at Sophia sleeping in my arms. She's beautiful, Emma whispered. They all are. Thank you. Can I hold her? I carefully transferred Sophia to Emma's arms. My sister looked down at my daughter with tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Claire. I've been so wrapped up in my own pregnancy that I never asked about your life. I never considered that you might have your own path to motherhood. Most people don't, I said. Single motherhood by choice is still seen as unconventional. But Emma, it's perfect for me. I get to be a mother on my own terms, in my own time, with the resources to do it well. Susan stepped forward with Jackson. Would anyone like to hold the little man? Aunt Linda immediately reached out. Hey. Soon the triplets were being passed around, cooed over, admired. My family was meeting my children for the first time, and the shock was giving way to genuine affection. Mom approached me, her face blotchy from crying. Claire, I've been horrible to you. For years, I've made you feel like you were failing because you didn't follow Emma's path. And all this time, you were building something extraordinary. I was building what I wanted, Mom. Not what you wanted for me. I know. And I'm ashamed that I couldn't see it. That I couldn't support you. That I made you feel like you had to hide your children from us. I didn't hide them. I just stopped trying to share my life with people who weren't interested in hearing about it. Patricia, my attorney, cleared her throat. Miss Parker, I have the photos of Grace if you'd like to share them with your family. Please. Patricia pulled out her tablet and showed pictures of Grace. A beautiful 3-year-old with bright eyes and a shy smile. In the photos, she was at the foster home, playing with toys, reading books, living a life that was about to change dramatically. This is Grace, I said, showing the photos around. She's been in foster care since she was 18 months old. No living relatives, bounced between 3 different homes, finally placed in a stable situation a year ago. I met her through our foundation's medical program. We provide health care for foster children. She needed treatment for asthma, and I was the doctor who saw her. I scrolled through the photos. We connected immediately. She's brilliant, curious, loving despite everything she's been through. I started the adoption process 6 months ago, right after the triplets were born. You took on triplets and then decided to adopt a 3-year-old? Uncle Robert said incredulously. Yes. That's insane. That's motherhood, I corrected. You don't always choose the timing. Sometimes you just choose to love. Mom was looking at Grace's photos with tears streaming down her face. She's precious, Claire. When can we meet her? She comes home Tuesday. But she'll need time to adjust before family visits. She's been through a lot. Trauma, instability, uncertainty. She needs to feel safe and secure before being overwhelmed with new people. We understand, Mom said. But Claire, please let us be part of their lives. Let us be the grandparents and aunts and uncles these children deserve. That depends, I said carefully. Can you accept that my family looks different from Emma's? Can you celebrate single motherhood as much as traditional marriage? Can you see my choices as equally valid? Yes, Mom said firmly. Yes, we can. We will. Emma, still holding Sophia, spoke up. Claire, I'm 8 months pregnant with 1 baby and I'm exhausted. You have 6-month-old triplets and you're adopting a 3-year-old while running a $900 million company. How are you doing this? Help, I said simply. I have Jennifer, who was an incredible surrogate. I have Margaret and Susan, professional nannies who are part of our family care team. I have night nurses, a pediatrician on call, a chef who prepares nutritious meals, and a house manager who coordinates everything. I built a support system because I knew I'd need it. That must cost a fortune. It does. About $400,000 a year in childcare and household staff. But I can afford it, and it allows me to be both a mother and a CEO. I'm not trying to do it all alone. I'm doing it with a team. Aunt Patricia asked, what about their father? The sperm donor. Anonymous donor through a reputable clinic. Medical history screened, no contact, no legal rights. The triplets' biological father is simply a genetic contributor. I'm their only legal parent. And you're okay with that? Aunt Linda asked. I'm more than okay with it. I wanted children, not a co-parent I didn't choose. This way all parenting decisions are mine. All love goes to them. No custody battles, no compromises on values, no complicated relationships. Just me and my children. Jennifer smiled. Ms. Parker is one of the most confident and capable mothers I've worked with. She knows exactly what she wants and how to provide it. The afternoon stretched on. My family held the triplets, asked questions about their care, wanted to know about their personalities. Sophia was the calm one. Maya was vocal and expressive. Jackson was curious about everything. Margaret shared stories about the baby's daily routines. Susan showed videos of them laughing and playing. My family was falling in love with my children, and the initial shock was transforming into genuine connection. Around 5 p.m. the baby started getting fussy. Margaret checked her watch. Miss Parker, it's almost feeding time. Should we head home? Yes. Let's get them back to their routine. As the nannies prepared to leave with the triplets, my family surrounded us. When can we visit? Mom asked. I want to spend time with my grandchildren. Next weekend, I said. Come to my house. I'll introduce you to my world properly. The nursery, the care team, my life. But Mom, you need to understand. This is my family. These are my choices. If you can't respect that, you can't be part of it. I respect it, she said firmly. I respect you. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see what you've built. Emma hugged me carefully, awkward with both of us holding babies. You're amazing, Claire. I'm in awe of you. You're going to be a great mother, Emma. And your path is just as valid as mine. There's room for both conventional and unconventional in this family. I love that, she said. As Jennifer, the nannies, and my babies prepared to leave, Patricia handed me a folder. The final adoption papers for Grace, she said. Sign these tonight, file them tomorrow, and she's officially yours on Tuesday. Thank you, Patricia. For everything. My pleasure, Ms. Parker. You're creating a beautiful family. I walked them to the door, watching as the nannies carefully secured the triplets in car seats in the luxury SUV I'd purchased specifically for child transport. The vehicle had every safety feature available, custom climate control, and enough space for 4 car seats. See you tomorrow, Margaret called. We'll have them ready for your morning visit. I'll be there at 8 a.m., I confirmed. After they left, I returned to the living room where my family sat in stunned silence. So, I said, sitting down. Any questions? Uncle Robert laughed. About 1,000. But I'll start with one. Claire, how long have you been planning this? The company, the children, all of it. 12 years for the company. 5 years for the decision to have children. 3 years for the actual process. Finding a surrogate, going through IVF, preparing for triplets. 6 months for Grace's adoption. It's been a long journey. And we missed all of it, Mom said sadly. Because you weren't looking, I said gently. You were so focused on Emma's traditional path that you couldn't see mine. But Mom, this isn't about blame. It's about moving forward differently. If you want to be part of my children's lives, you need to accept their unconventional family. We do, Emma said. We absolutely do. Aunt Linda spoke up. Claire, I have to say, what you've done is revolutionary. Single mother of triplets plus adoption, running a pharmaceutical empire, creating your family on your terms. You're showing that women don't have to choose between career and children. They just need resources and determination. And a really good support team, I added. I couldn't do this alone. Nobody can. The myth of the independent mother is just that. A myth. I have help and I'm not ashamed of it. The conversation continued for another hour. I showed them photos of my house. A 6-bedroom home with a custom nursery suite, live-in nanny quarters, a home office and a backyard designed for children. I explained my work schedule. 3 days in the office, 2 days working from home, flexible hours adjusted around feeding times and naps. I told them about Grace, her love of books, her gentle personality, her excitement about having siblings. About how the Triplets nursery had a 4th room being prepared for her, decorated with everything a 3-year-old could want. I shared my vision for our family. Unconventional but loving, supported but intimate, successful but grounded in what mattered most. Claire, Mom said as the evening wound down, I want to apologize. Really apologize. For years I've made you feel inadequate because you didn't follow the script I imagined. Because you chose career over early marriage. Because you didn't find the one in your 20s like I did. I made you feel like you were failing when you were actually succeeding spectacularly. I appreciate that, Mom. Can you forgive me? Eventually. But Mom, this isn't fixed with one conversation. You need to show me consistently that you respect my choices. That you value my family as much as Emma's. That you see single motherhood as a legitimate path. I will. I promise. Emma stood to leave, Derek helping her up. Claire, thank you for coming today. Thank you for sharing your family with us. And I'm sorry my baby shower turned into your coming out party. I laughed. It was bound to happen eventually. Better at your shower than at Thanksgiving dinner. True. And Claire? Your children are lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have them. As my family filed out, each person stopping to hug me and promised to visit soon, I felt something shift. The years of hiding, of keeping my success and my family secret were over. They knew now. All of it. Mom was the last to leave. She hugged me tightly. I have 4 grandchildren, she whispered. 4 beautiful grandchildren. I can't wait to know them. They'll love having a grandmother. But Mom, Grace especially needs gentle handling. She's been through trauma. You can't overwhelm her. I understand. I'll follow your lead. Good. After everyone left, I sat in Mom's living room surrounded by the remnants of Emma's baby shower. The decorations, the gifts, the celebration of impending motherhood. And I realized, Emma was about to become a mother. But I already was one. 3 6-month-olds and a 3-year-old about to come home. A $900 million pharmaceutical company that helped people create families. A life built on my terms with my choices, following my own unconventional path. My phone buzzed. A photo from Margaret. The triplets sleeping peacefully in their cribs. 3 perfect babies safe and loved. Another text from Patricia. Adoption papers signed and filed. Grace comes home Tuesday at 2 p.m. Congratulations, Miss Parker. Your family is complete. I smiled, looking at the photo of my sleeping children. Not childless. Not wasted. Not alone. A mother of 4. A CEO of a pharmaceutical empire. A woman who'd built exactly the life she wanted. And finally, a family that knew the truth.